Meet Eric, a typical university student who just wanted a tiny distraction from his IT architecture assignment. He tells himself he will check one notification, but 40 minutes later he is deep in a rabbit hole of personalized video feeds. Eric feels like he's lost control, but what he doesn't realize is that he is actually trapped inside a digital version of a B.F. Skinner experiment. His brain is reacting to a psychological architecture designed specifically to keep him from putting that phone down. Today we're going to look at how these invisible forces shape our lives and how Eric and you can finally break the cycle. Eric isn't alone. Roughly 10% of Americans, or over 33 million people, meet the criteria for social media addiction. The physical toll is real, as 93% of Gen Z individuals report losing sleep because they stayed up too late scrolling through their feeds. In the professional world, these digital distractions are estimated to slash productivity by as much as 25% as we struggle to reboot our focus after every notification. For Eric, this means the difference between a high-grade and a rushed late-night scramble. These aren't just habits, they are neurological responses to engineered environments. A comprehensive meta-analysis of students globally found a significant negative correlation of approximately negative 0.17 between social media addiction and academic performance. This research highlights that as addiction-like behaviors increase, grades consistently tend to drop. The mechanism is clear. Excessive use erodes sleep quality, fragments concentration, and reduces the time available for deep learning. For Eric, every like he chases is a withdrawal from his academic self-efficacy. The study suggests that to protect his GPA, he must address the design-driven internal states, like anxiety and fatigue, that social media induces. Watch as Eric performs 3 simple steps to reclaim his focus right now. First, he is disabling all non-essential push notifications to stop the external pull of the platform. Second, he switches his phone to grayscale mode, which studies show reduces the dopamine reward effect of vibrant icons. Finally, he physically moves his device to another room while he studies, creating environmental friction that prevents automatic, mindless checking. These steps are designed to extinguish the habitual response by removing the cues that trigger it. By doing this, Eric is effectively rewiring his own environment to serve his goals rather than the algorithm's goals. Once Eric implements these changes, the results are nearly immediate. He can expect to feel more grounded and less anxious, as he is no longer constantly reacting to unpredictable digital pings. By stopping the late-night scrolling, his sleep quality will improve, allowing for better cognitive recovery and focus during his morning classes. Most importantly, he will see an increase in his academic confidence as he regains the ability to engage in deep work without interruption. Regaining control over his time means he can finally finish that paper with hours to spare for real-life connections. If you want to learn more about how to use psychology to master your own habits, hit that subscribe button. We dive deep into the mechanisms of the mind to help you stay ahead of the algorithms. Join Eric and thousands of others who are reclaiming their focus and building more intentional lives. Don't let your technology use you. Learn to use it to serve your future. Click subscribe now to ensure you never miss a lesson in digital well-being and behavioral science. To understand Eric's struggle, we must define the core keyword, operant conditioning. First described by B.F. Skinner, this theory posits that our actions are motivated by the results they produce. If an action leads to a pleasant consequence, we are more likely to repeat it. If it leads to an unpleasant one, we tend to stop. Skinner used the term operant to refer to active behaviors that operate on the environment to generate these consequences. Unlike simple reflexes, these are voluntary choices influenced by our history of rewards and punishments. Skinner refined his theories using the Skinner box, an operant conditioning chamber. Inside, an animal like a rat might accidentally press a lever and receive a food pellet. After a few accidental successes, the rat learns to press the lever intentionally to get the food. This environment was designed to be a free operant space where the animal could choose when to act, but its choices were shaped by the rewards it received. Digital apps today are essentially sophisticated, invisible Skinner boxes for humans, The most effective way to teach a new behavior is through positive reinforcement. For Eric, every like or comment on a post is a positive reinforcer, a rewarding stimulus added after he posts. These rewards trigger a rush of dopamine in the brain's reward centers, making him want to post again. It's the same principle used to train a dolphin to flip for a fish or a student to study for a high grade. When something good is added, the behavior is strengthened. Many people confuse this with punishment, but negative reinforcement actually increases behavior. Think of the annoying beep 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 in your car that stops only when you buckle your seatbelt. The act of buckling is reinforced because it removes the noise. For Eric, scrolling through his feed might offer a negative reinforcement by momentarily relieving feelings of boredom or stress. Because the bad feeling goes away when he scrolls, he is more likely to reach for his phone the next time he feels overwhelmed. It's vital to distinguish these. Reinforcement always increases a behavior, while punishment always decreases it. Positive punishment adds an undesirable stimulus, like a parent scolding a child for running into the street. Negative punishment takes away a pleasant stimulus, such as taking away Eric's phone when he fails to study. However, Skinner found that reinforcement is generally more effective for long-term change. Punishment often teaches fear or suppression rather than guiding a person toward better behavior. The timing of these rewards is just as important as the rewards themselves. In a fixed ratio FR schedule, reinforcement occurs after a specific number of actions. Imagine a factory worker who gets paid for every 10 items they make. This leads to high response rates, but there is often a post-reinforcement pause, a brief rest after the reward is received because the subject knows they have to work through another set of tasks before the next one. This is the gold standard of conditioning. In a variable ratio VR schedule, reinforcement is delivered after an unpredictable number of responses. This is exactly how slot machines work. You never know if the next pull will be the big win. Because the reward could come at any time, the behavior becomes incredibly resistant to extinction. Eric stays on his app for hours because the next great post might be just one swipe away, creating a steady, high rate of responding. One of the most insidious tricks in slot machine and app design is the near miss. This happens when an outcome looks close to a win but is actually a loss. Research shows that near misses activate the same reward centers in the brain as actual wins. Eric sees two matching symbols and a third just off-center, and his brain releases dopamine as if he'd won, encouraging him to try just one more time. It creates an illusion of control and the false belief that a win is due. Eric isn't just using an app, he's interacting with an attention engine. Design features like the infinite scroll remove all natural stopping points, turning a quick check into a mindless flow state. Swiping down is the digital version of pulling a slot machine lever. Autoplay further reduces the friction of making a choice, moving Eric from one video to the next without him ever having to decide to continue. These features are engineered to maximize his screen time for profit. Most people think dopamine is about pleasure, but it's actually about anticipation. It is the neurochemical wanting that keeps us seeking rewards. In a famous experiment, monkeys released twice as much dopamine when there was only a 50% chance of getting a treat compared to when the treat was guaranteed. Eric's brain is constantly chasing that next hit of dopamine, sparked by the possibility of a notification rather than the notification itself. This dopamine cycle makes it physically painful for him to stay away from his device. When you pair infinite scroll with personalized recommendations, you get a synergistic effect that is more powerful than either feature alone. The personalization ensures the content is always relevant to Eric, while the infinite scroll ensures it never ends. This creates a state of cognitive absorption where Eric loses all track of time. He falls into these personalized loops unintentionally and often finds himself unable to break out until external factors like sheer exhaustion force him to stop. This isn't just about lost time, it's about brain structure. Excessive social media use has been linked to a reduction in gray matter in the brain, similar to what is seen in substance addictions. Specifically, it can impair the development of the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for impulse control and decision-making. For Eric, this means that the more he scrolls, the less physiological capacity he has to stop scrolling. He may even experience anhedonia, a reduced ability to feel pleasure from natural offline activities. To help Eric in the long run, he needs a strategy called thinning the reinforcement schedule. This means gradually reducing how often he checks his phone until he is no longer dependent on that immediate digital hit. He must also shape new, healthier habits by reinforcing small steps toward alternative activities like reading or exercising. By replacing cheap dopamine with meaningful offline goals, Eric can build a more resilient and focused mind. It's about creating a lifestyle where technology serves his needs rather than dominating his time. We've seen how operant conditioning keeps Eric and all of us hooked through unpredictable rewards and near misses. We've explored the neurological cost of these digital traps and identified practical ways to break free. Remember, your attention is a finite resource. By being mindful of the triggers and consequences in your environment, you can step out of the Skinner box and back into your life. Use the science of behavior to your advantage and start building the future you want today